I'm not gonna say anything. Just watch where your backhand lands, and then you tell me if that's where your backhand was supposed to land, and if that gives you a predictable return. Is that a good spot for your backhand to land? If she's not world ranked 88, whoever this is still winning that point because this is terrible placement. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Looeelooee here, and welcome back to another VOD review. Before we get started, I have a couple of important announcements. The first one is I am going to be starting a new series, which is Pro Match Analysis. I made a post about it a few days ago. You just go to my channel and pull that up real quick. But basically, the way that it works is if you have a pro match that you would like me to do analysis on, so let's say you watch Malong versus Timo Boll and you're like, this is a great match, this could be really educational, and you want me to do an analysis on it, join my Discord server, which I will have linked in the description, and then head on over to the Pro Analysis channel and drop the link. There's some instructions on there. And on weeks where I don't have any submissions for an actual VOD review from one of you all, I will be doing a pro analysis. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. So the match that I'm going to be reviewing today is another one from Alex, who was actually the protagonist in our first video. So this one is really interesting because, of course, I have the notes from last time, and he went up against the #1 player in Ukraine, who is currently ranked 88 in the world. Now, normally, if you're an amateur player and you're going up against a pro, you might be really pissed off with my analysis here, because I might get 5 minutes into this and just tell you she's too good and there's nothing you can learn from this match. But with that said, I'm still going to take a look at it just to see if there's anything obvious I can point out. But my guess is going to be whatever mistakes you feel like you're making, even if you corrected those mistakes, she's just going to be so good. Like, my guess is she's not going to be trying against you. And it's going to be kind of, she's letting you play your game and you're still making mistakes. But with that said, you said, I mostly rush to score as quickly as possible because she is way more precise and controlled. Not an official match, but try to do my best and use all my schemes. A lot of mistakes on openings from the backhand side. I have no idea how to fix that. It looks like I move my hand too quickly every time. So we will take a look. And just so that everyone is aware, when I give notes, once you submit another VOD, these are the only things I want you to focus on in the next match. So if I go into this and I notice that none of this stuff has gotten better, then I'm just going to tell you to do the same things until this stuff is fixed. And then once this stuff is fixed, I'll move on to some other stuff that you can work on. But you can't work on too many things at once, otherwise you're not going to improve at anything. So just as a recap, your notes from last time were your awareness. You need to be aware of where your serve is landing so that you can set up your combinations. You need to be aware of where your serve receives are landing, and you need to do a better job of watching. So I'm going into this one blind just like the other one, but let's go ahead and take a look and see if there's anything we can notice. Let me see what your forehand looks like. I'm actually glad that I'm seeing this. You have an issue with your backhand technique. Your racket angle, or not your racket angle, but your paddle itself is dropping too much after each shot. I'm going to have a clip on the screen right now. That shows what the backhand to backhand should look like, and then just compare that to your backhand, where every shot, instead of just coming straight back, you're dropping your racket under the table, and it actually makes your recovery slow. But anyway, let's keep going. And like I said, I might get 2 seconds into this match and say she's just too good and there's nothing you can learn from this, but we'll see. That's not bad. So this is the other reason I'd say it's very hard to learn when there's this much of a skill gap between you and the opponent you're playing. Is I don't want you to think there's anything wrong with the way you just lost that point. So if we run it back, that wasn't bad. She's just faster than you. But because you lost the point, subconsciously you might think that's bad and that you need to do something else. And look at that serve real quick. Curious where it was landing. Better. Your placement's better than last time, but yeah. You should be letting the ball bounce a little bit more when she's doing this backhand serve. So every single one she's done so far is long, and typically the default position for this serve is long. But if we go in slow motion, you can actually see that it's coming very far to your forehand, and you're very, very late to recognize this there, and you end up playing that chicken wing shot. That's a good miss. But yeah, she's not trying. So it's hard for me to give any valuable advice. Yeah, she's just messing around. And don't get me wrong, there is... So I know you don't have a rating system in Ukraine that's the same as like what we have in America. But like for example, when I was 1500, I would get a lot of value from playing against people that are 2000 or 2100, which is a couple classes above me, but it's not so... If I'm 1500 and I do something where I outplay the 2000, for example, I'm going to win the point because I outplayed them. But if I'm 1500 and I do something that outplays a 2600, I'm probably still going to lose the point because they're just better. So it's very hard to learn what works and what doesn't, and that's kind of what, like, I could go into details about all the mistakes you're making, but she's basically just letting you play, and as annoying as it sounds, I don't think there's anything you can learn from this. However, I'll keep watching just to see. All I'm going to focus on are your notes and whether or not you're following them. So whether or not you're aware of where your shot is going and if you're going to be setting anything up. But yeah, that actually is unacceptable right there. You have seen this serve multiple times. I know she's a lot better. But she hasn't done this serve short a single time. And yet you're still surprised by the fact that it comes long with topspin, even though it's been the same serve multiple times. But you know, in the beginning when I was talking about your backhand technique in the warm-up, you can actually see it right there. Go back to when she serves. You drop your paddle, and it actually causes you to miss that ball. Look, you're good, you're good, you're good, you're good, you're good, and then for no reason at all, your paddle is under the table, right here. And so against a topspin serve, you're just gonna miss that out every single time. Your paddle should really be, if I were to draw a box, this is where your paddle should be. And you should basically just meet the ball to the paddle and drive it straight forward. You don't need this unless you're looping underspin. Nice. Okay. That's good. So you serve. Serve goes long to the back end. And your placement, if you remember the last match I reviewed, like you were serving and then trying to set up this cross-court return, but you couldn't really predict it because your serve was landing right here. Notice even against a good player, because your serve is a little bit more in the corner, it lands right here, paddles right here, that her return is extremely predictable. And again, she's not trying, but still, same there on the loop. Your placement is really good, and so because of that, you know exactly where her block is going. So watch again. Serve is good, loop placement is good, and it forces the block to come cross court, and it's predictable. But it still kind of catches you by surprise for some reason. I'd still like to see it a little bit better. Like, remember last video I said first, like if you're going long to the back end and you're not worried about serving short, it should literally be first bounce, second bounce, and yours is still a little bit kind of in no man's land. I don't know why you're still thinking it's underspin. Yeah. Like, there's nothing I can tell you there that'll help you to win that point, because she's not really trying. She's just toying with you. Yeah. That's your old habit again, though. You lose focus. It's like when you're focused, you have good placement. Your shots are in the corners, so you're able to predict where the ball is going. Sometimes you lose focus in that you play to the middle, and then when you play to the middle, of course, you can't predict where your opponent's going to go, so you lose the point. Other times you lose focus in that you play a good shot, like you play to one of the corners, but then you kind of forget that you've played to that corner and you don't expect the predictable return. So for example, there's been a few points where you played right into this corner. She hasn't played a single shot this way down the line against you, and yet for some reason you're still expecting it here, and then you're surprised when it comes back here, which is, again, it's more so a focus, and it just goes back to the notes I gave you last time. Yeah. So I think this point sums it up pretty nicely. Like, I'm not going to say anything. Just watch where your backhand lands, and then you tell me if that's where your backhand was supposed to land and if that gives you a predictable return. Is that a good spot for your backhand to land? If she's not world ranked 88, whoever this is still winning that point, because this is terrible placement. But I don't think I need to watch much more of this. It's the same mistakes as last time. I know that sounds harsh, but there's not much you can learn from this type of match, unfortunately. And so I'm going to tell you to run it back. Same notes as last time. Fix this stuff first. And then once you fix that stuff, we'll move on to some other mistakes that you're making. But you need to fix this stuff first. So the serve was better. The receive was a little bit better. The looping hasn't improved at all. Like, it's kind of like you land your loop and you're like, great, I landed my loop. But your loop doesn't land where it should. I'm actually going to add... I don't know, I'm trying to think of the best way to word this. I guess it goes hand in hand. It's mainly a focus thing. If you're doing all of this stuff correctly, then you should be able to predict where your opponent is going to play. So the couple times where you did do this correctly, for whatever reason, you weren't expecting the predictable return, probably because you haven't seen it enough. But focus on this again. Look at the clip again that I put at the beginning of the video for your backhand. It's a small fix, but it'll help. I want to see another match, but I want it to be you can bring matches against someone better. Like I said, as a 1500 player when I was learning, I love playing against 2000, 2100, like strong semi-professional level players. It's great. But when you're going against someone that's a full-time professional that literally plays the sport for a living, probably coaches as well, you can just tell, or I can tell as a high-level player that she's just toying with you. So anything I tell you to fix isn't really applicable because she's not even playing her real game, unfortunately. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all for watching. I hope that that was helpful. And like I said, send me your VODs. If you want me to review one of your matches, then join the Discord server, go to video submissions, and check out the instructions here. If there is a pro match that you want me to review, go to the pro VOD section, read all the instructions, and submit a match here. And if I do a VOD review for you, it'll go up on the YouTube channel for everyone to see. Thank you all again for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, make sure to subscribe to support me. And until next time, adios.